Good morning, and it's a really early morning. We are here in Chennai at the Ashok Leyland Technical Center, and as you can make out around me, for company, I have a lot of variants of the Dost. Now, this has been a legacy model for Ashok Leyland, multiple iterations from the Dost Lite to the Dost Plus, i2 generation, i3, i4, and it's a strong product in the portfolio of Ashok Leyland. But when it comes to Switch Mobility, the e-mobility arm of Ashok Leyland, these vehicles have been adapted to make a foray into the e-LCV segment by Switch Mobility, and the vehicle I am hinting at is the IeV series. Today we will take you out on the test track at Ashok Leyland's Technical Center and show you nitty-gritties of the IeV3 as well as the IeV4. I call it the perhaps electric Dost and the electric Bada Dost. So those are the vehicles that we will be focusing on in a short while from now. All of that action coming your way. After a detailed interaction with CEO Mahesh Babu, it was time to hit the track. The track had three parts to it: a high-speed track, a steering circle, and a durability test track. So we've kickstarted our drive here at the Ashok Leyland Technical Center, starting off with the IeV3, and we've been allowed to kickstart this drive check on the gradient. So this is a 10% gradient, and the gradability for IeV3 is about 22%. So we should be able to get past this hurdle quite easily. Just running out of torque over here, and that's not looking good. So if you've had a slight inclination of what happened over here, was we accelerated at the start of the ascent, and that is why we ran out of power, and that was not a good sign. So what you have to do is, before you reach the approach, the ascent, before you start, just take about 100 meters or so to increase the throttle so that you have enough thrust to go past the incline and then descend. The vehicle, the IeV3, can do about 22 degrees in terms of gradability, and this was just a 10.2 degrees, but still 10.2 degrees on ground feels quite a steep ascent. So if you have enough throttle, then the vehicle definitely takes you on the other side. The other bit, the vehicle has shifters over here, as you can see. So you have the reverse mode, the neutral, the drive, the sports mode. In case of the IeV4, it is dash mounted. So this again is a good inclusion compared to the dials we are used to seeing on the EV. You would have seen vehicles like the variant of Ace EV that we had reviewed, which had the dial. So from a preference perspective, the switches are easier to toggle between the different gears. Let's continue with the drive. Let's continue with this gradient to get a good touch and feel of the vehicle. Let the vehicle also familiarize with our style of driving, and once we have that communication going between the vehicle and me, we will be able to divulge more details. Continue on road check with CV. So round one was more about learning. Round two hopefully will be a little more efficient, and So the fact that we are running out of steam at the start of the ascent is to do with regenerative braking. The fact that when I brake the vehicle, the power goes back to the battery and the battery is charged. Now the state of charge on the display over here shows that the battery is about 98% charged. I'm told that when the battery state of charge is at about 95%, regenerative braking will kick in, and that's the time we will have more throttle to go over the ascent. So let's give it another shot. Okay, a little bit bumpy because the IeV3 has the rigid suspension. Passed the gradient test. It was clear that the vehicle was durable, and it was now time to hit the steering test track. Made up of concentric circles, it was sufficient to test the steerability of the vehicle. It was sufficient to test the turning radius of the vehicle and validate the claims of the vehicle being a suitable partner for first and last mile mobility solutions. Time to hit the straights on the high-speed track made to test the stability of the vehicle on high speeds. The bank corners made it easier. Lugging a 1.25 ton payload on the IeV3 in comparison to 1.7 ton payload on the IeV4. A 25.6 kilowatt hour advanced lithium-ion battery in comparison to a 32.2 kilowatt hour advanced lithium-ion battery pack. 140 kilometers range on the IeV3 in comparison to 130 on the bigger one. A 40 kilowatt or a 190 Nm peak torque on the IeV3 in comparison to 60 kilowatt or 230 Nm peak torque on the latter. The IeV series is built on a high voltage 300 volt architecture, and clearly the claims of profitable TCO look doable. This is the most favorite part of the hurdles. It's the straight high-speed track, about 1.5 kilometers, and you can see how it's inclining to the edge, where you really get to see the test the stability of the vehicle, whether there are any rollover tendencies or no at high speeds. The speed for the test is capped at about 60. The IeV4 of course can go up to 70, and of course then there is the larger speed governance that caps the speed at 80 kmph. But you can really feel the horses coming out of the larger battery in comparison to the IeV3. You have definitely higher amount of torque coming in, and the vehicle in terms of NVH levels is quite optimized. Of course there is no aircon in this unit. For that reason, the efficiencies of the e-LCV combined with aircon in the operation is difficult to gauge. But without the aircon, it is definitely a notch higher, or compares in terms of parity between the ICE Ghost and the e-mobility option that is now being presented to operators. So anybody who has been driving the Dost in the fleet, the Bada Dost i3, i4, can look to upgrade themselves to the IeV4. Let's do a final lap where we will try and hit the top speed to further validate the stability claims and the performance claims of the IeV4. So going full throttle over here on road check with CV. On road check with CV, this is the final leg. This is where we tell you which value proposition out of the IeV3 and IeV4 is most suited to you. Switch Mobility has big ambitions with its e-LCV 4A, known for its buses, the EIV 9, 12 and the 22, which is the double decker. The interesting fact and the noteworthy fact is that this is the bigger opportunity out of the two segments the company operates in. e-LCVs is about a 55 billion market with about 420,000 units potential compared to 42,000 on the bus front. So you can imagine this is serious business for Switch Mobility, where the company aspires to gain up to 15 to 20% of the market share in the coming years. Now let's quickly look at what IeV3 and IeV4 offer in terms of value proposition to the operator, the minute differences that you can choose from. But at the onset, if you look at these vehicles, this reminds you of the Bada Dost. You can also call it the i3 and the i4, or the Dost and the Bada Dost. That is the kind of comparison it draws from an e-LCV perspective if you are looking at performance parity between ICE and the e-mobility options. This of course is the smaller variant, the IeV3, and this visibly a higher and a bigger front fascia is the IeV4. Subtle differences that I'm going to point out without going into each and every spec, because that has been revealed to you in the previous videos available on our YouTube channel. If you look at the IeV3 battery pack, this is a smaller battery pack compared to the IeV4's battery pack. So of course the horses differ, the horse output differs. You have about 60 kilowatt as a peak power in the IeV4 compared to 40 in the IeV3. There is a slight difference between the wheelbases. Payload is where the maximum difference is visible for the IeV3 and IeV4. This is a 1.25 tonner. That's a 1.7 tonner, which is the sweet spot. So deliveries for IeV4 started before the deliveries for IeV3 commenced. If you look at the ground clearance itself, the ground clearance is slightly more in the IeV4. So compared to a 170 odd, you have about a 200 plus ground clearance. You have about 22 degrees of gradability on the IeV3, and you have 23 degrees of gradability on the IeV4. Then of course you can look at the seating, which is a differentiator. You have D+1 in the IeV3, and of course in the IeV4 this is the first in class officially designated 3-seater e-LCV in the market. The others in comparison pale out because they are not officially designated 3-seaters as per company claims. You look at lightweighting, you look at the throttle, you look at the torque availability, you look at advanced features like hill hold, you look at advanced features like ESC. All of that is packed into the IeV series, and then of course all of this is centralized to the Switch Ion platform, which has 100 plus connectivity embedded features. These features allow operators to monitor their vehicles in near real time. You can look at the vehicles idling, you can look at the vehicles in service, you can look at driver drivability, driver fatigueness. You can look at where the business metrics have an opportunity to improve, and thereby give you a quicker turnaround time, and also as a result of that, higher profitability. The core focus of the R&D team with both these vehicles has been a quicker turnaround time, a safer ride, and to ensure that the total cost of ownership is the lowest possible. Now the company, as per our interaction with Mahesh Babu, who is the CEO of Switch, we've learned that the vehicles have been successful in their seeding process with extensive pilot testing, and the vehicles claim an uptime of a minimum of 98%, if not more. So these are big claims, and the vehicle is definitely a challenger vehicle. The company, through the IeV series, is looking to make inroads and capture a bigger pie of the e-LCV market.